It's my honor now to welcome to the show Major Kirsten Vallenmaaki, and we're going to be talking to you for the next 10 or so minutes. I want people to tune in, but welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so I met Kirsten at the Kansas City Art Institute, where they have this wonderful display, wonderful exhibit called the Veteran Reflection Exhibit, and you were one of the 14 subjects of the wonderful portraits that these wonderful students were able to paint. And yours, if you can't see it, you can go to Fox 4 News and look at our website. You can see it there, Kirsten. How did you get invited to be one of the participants?
Sure. Well, there are a couple organizations that came together actually to make that vision become a reality. Humana, the Kansas City Art Institute, the Art Council of Kansas City, the Battle Within, After Action Network, just to name a few. Mm-hmm. And I actually am an alumni of the Battle Within, and I have friends with After Action Network. So both of them actually reached out to me and said, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Tell me more about it." And after hearing about it, I told the Battle Within, I said, "Yes, I would be interested." And so they went ahead and submitted my name to be considered. And then Miss Leslie Newton, who's with Humana, the Bold Gold program, I believe, reached out to me and said, so the Battle Within gave me your name and told me, that you're a veteran and that you've had experience, with trauma and struggling with reintegration and isolation and feelings of loneliness throughout your career, and you would be interested possibly in speaking to our co-organization that we're working with, which is the Kansas City Art Institute, and doing having a portrait done. And I said, yes, if I'd be interested. I'm a little nervous, not going to lie, but if there's anything that I can do to help spread the word about subjects that are often very misunderstood and overlooked, I'm there. And she said great, and so we made the connection from there and started lining up when the interview would happen, who I would meet with, etc.
So you've got an artist, her name is Holly, and Holly was the artist from the Kansas City Art Institute, where she interviewed you, and from the interview she painted a portrait. For instance, you can't see it here, but you can look at it obviously on Kansas City Art Institute as well. There are tears coming from your eye, and it looks just like you. Tears coming from your eyes, and you have your right ear is extended. It's a bigger ear. Why was that important, and what did that signify? What did that symbolize for you?
During my interview, I explained that a lot of the time, the difficulty for a soldier is that we do not feel like we're heard. People listen, and they take what they hear, they transfer it through their own experiences, their own life molds. And then a lot of times they will try to give us advice without really knowing us and knowing what we're going through. And what I spoke about was how important it is for the community and for those that we call friends and loved ones to be able to understand unconditional positive regard. And that is the ability to sit back and listen and just be present so that the individual can unpack what they're going through without trying to fix us, just trying to love us, just trying to hear what we're saying. And then, by all means, at the end, if they want to ask questions, that's great. But the whole point is, at that point, we don't need to be fixed. We need to be heard. We need to be loved for what we're going through and for where we're at.
And the thing is, go ahead, Kirsten, I'm sorry.
Sure, I'm sorry. I was going to say that the point about the tears was, during my interview, I explained, we're expected as soldiers to have this strength, this aura about us that says, I can handle anything. You know what? When we're in uniform, we're trained to handle anything. We don't always get it perfect, but by goodness, we do our best. That's what focusing is about. But when we come home, or when we go through a traumatic incident like the loss of a soldier, we are not trained to display and to release that trauma. We don't know how to do it. We're trained exactly the opposite. I'm good, my one foot in front of the other, and I've got this. So transitioning back, we don't know what to do. And I explained to her, nobody teaches us that it's okay to cry. But
Wow.
if you ever meet a soldier who is talking about, or who is recounting a situation that was extremely traumatic, a roadside bomb, a loss of a soldier in the heat of battle, or even someone they knew that they lost that was back home while they were gone, if they're not displaying emotion, if they're not able to be vulnerable and shed a tear, they have not made it to the place where they're healing. And that's when you can tell that has begun. And that's so important right then, to be able to just hold out your hand. Hold out your hand and say, I'm here, how can I help you? And that was the point of the hands. It's being able to, if we are vulnerable, for you to be vulnerable, and instead of fixing us, say, how can I help? What do you need?
And we don't know. We haven't been through what you've been through, and we're just trying to, console you. And so it's good to know. It's good to know that. And speaking of healing, you told me, we had an interview on Fox 4 the other morning, and you told me that you hadn't cried until this exhibit. And
yeah.
Wow. So that's your healing beginning.
I have cried about numerous things, so let's qualify that. I've cried about numerous life things, but as far as the things that I have been struggling with in the service, because I've been in for 21 years, I've experienced a myriad of good and bad, but of the things that have actually traumatized me, I learned to stuff them, and I've talked about them, and I've broken down, but not to the extent of just bawling, just crying. Like, I would start to cry and then I would just close it off. That's what I mean. Well, until that interview where I was confronting an issue and I actually felt safe, I knew I was being heard. I hadn't cried about, and I don't want to get into that because I'll cry right now. I don't want to get into this specific incident, but a very specific incident by happenstance came up. And I started to talk about it like I normally would, and I couldn't make it through it. And that's when I told Holly, I said, you know what? This is what I'm talking about. We don't start to heal until we're able to cry. Wow. This is my first time crying about this.
Wow. Oh, my gosh, that's fabulous. It is fabulous that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you were a baby when you went in, so really, more than half your life, that was your life.
Yeah, I was 18 when I joined. That's right. Yep.
Wow. Why did you join in the first place?
Well, I was what is so fondly referred to as a ward of the state. I grew up in the foster care system in the Kansas City area, and so I always struggled with belonging. I never really experienced a close-knit family, long-term friends. I didn't really know where to go with my life, but I knew that I didn't want to end up one of those people who's just stuck in the system. I had bigger dreams than that, and my method of accomplishing that was, well, what can I do that's going to get me out of here so that I can grow? And it was joining the service. Little did I know how much that was going to change my life. But it has been one of the best things in my life. And the ironic thing about that is it wasn't until I'm 40, I just turned 40, and it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I actually had gotten to the point I had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. I had started therapy with that. And one of the things I had never admitted to anyone that was outside of my close circle, to anyone in uniform, was that I was a child of the system. People looked at me. I'm a leader. I went through the enlisted ranks and went up through the officer ranks. I'm a major now, and people looked at me as a leader. And I had never been willing to look at people and say, but I didn't start out this way. Like, I didn't have this example. This was hard for me. But Kirsten, I would have from something else.
Okay, I'm just so shocked, having met you. Not saying that there's the people act a certain way, but you are so confident. You carry yourself with confidence, and obviously the PTSD, that's something else. I didn't notice that. I don't notice that. That's the thing. I think it's a silent thing with you all. And my gosh, what a smart, mature young woman you were. I mean, you still are. But, when you decided you had bigger dreams to get out of the system, that's wonderful.
I lucked out. I had a few really good apples along the way, one of them being my last foster mother. And when I looked at those individuals, I knew I wanted to do better. And I have, it's a silent battle because I have always struggled with feeling confident, even in uniform. And, soldiers do. They're going to lie to you and tell you they don't. And there are some soldiers that don't get me wrong. But there are a good, at least 50% of soldiers who we struggle. But we have to be that way. We don't have a choice. So I'm just now actually learning not to hide behind that mask and show that vulnerability because I'm good at my job. That I know. But that doesn't mean I always feel like I'm the most qualified or that I'm doing it right. And I'm just now to the point in my life where I can admit that.
Do you feel that this veterans exhibit, the veteran reflection exhibit, would help other veterans? Because what's so cool about it is not only do you get to see the portrait, and this will be coming back to Kansas City in the late August. You can look on the Kansas City Art Institute and Humana's website to find it, but you can scan the QR code and you can listen to each interview that, for instance, Kirsten's interview, all the others, there are 14 total. Will this help veterans if they come to see this exhibit?
Yes, I absolutely believe it will. One of the trials is that we might show a little bit of ourselves, the fragments that we want to show with our friends. So there are people that we wear uniform with that we've gone through struggles with, but we can talk about certain things with. But you don't let anyone else know about it. And I think if veterans or soldiers even that are still serving went to see this exhibit and listened to the stories, what it is, it's raw. It's real. It's an example of you are not the only one. You are not in this alone.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid.
Wow. All right. If you'd like to find out more, go to kansascityboldgoal.com. That is Humana's website there. They can tell you where it'll be because it's a traveling exhibit. It really caught my eye because of just each one is so different. Each one is so individual, which is so neat because when you're in uniform, you're all alike.
Right. Yes, very much so.
And if you could see Miss Kirsten, she is just a beautiful girl. You look like you could be a movie star. And I hope that this helps you heal. I know that we back here who didn't go into this service appreciate everything that you gave up for us. I want you to know that. There are a lot more people than I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't be appreciative. So you've got to know that. You've got to know that there are people that love what you did for us, and still are because you're in the reserves.
Right. Yes, I'm still serving.
Oh, my goodness. And you've got some beautiful children now.
I do. I have a 16-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy. They are amazing.
Oh, man. That's wonderful. What are their names?
My 16-year-old's name is Ashton, and my 10-year-old's name is Dorian. And Ashton is actually starting to follow in my footsteps. He joined ROTC, and he's looking at a future career in the service.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is exciting and overwhelming and a little bit shocking because he never really liked it growing up, but he's doing it now. So apparently I've done something right along the way because he's following in my footsteps.
Hey, you're his role model. He loves you. He looks up to you. And you know what? We all love you too, and we thank you so much. And I'm so proud of you. You're a major, and I want you to know that people out there are saluting you, and you're marvelous.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
All right, Kirsten. We're going to talk again, okay?
Sounds great.
All right. If you want to find out more about the Veteran Reflection exhibit, go to kansascityboldgoal.com. We have more on the way. Stay with us.